Good morning, everyone. This is Les with the Exploration e-bike. I just wanted to go over some things I missed in my assembly video. I wanted to clear some things up. I got quite a few DMs and messages, so I wanted to go over this and help everyone out with this assembly. This bike should have been built by a builder in the factory, and everything should have been put together in the packaging when they disassembled this. But my lower bearing was already installed on the steer tube, and then all these parts here, all the upper parts, the upper bearing, the split ring, the washers, the dust cap, the two spacers above the dust cap that go underneath or go on around the stem here. They were all tie wrapped to the frame. There was a tie wrap run through the center, came back up, and then tie wrapped all this together. So when I was taking this out of the packaging and removing all the foam and the tie wraps, I clipped that tie wrap and I kept all those parts in the order that they were tie wrapped together. Now, I don't know if everybody's case is the same, but mine were all should have been placed in order by the person that packaged this. So, and then like I said, the lower bearing was already installed on the steer tube. Now when I did my video, I just wanted to get the front wheel on. I just wanted to get this standing. I was working in a tight space, and just to get this together quickly. I was trying to keep the video a little shorter, so I didn't cover everything, but and I knew I was going to change out the bar, so I knew I was going to be taking this all back apart. In my video, you saw me apply some lube on the lower bearing, and what I use is Velcro Cincinnati heavy duty gel lube. This comes in several formats, I guess. There's a tube that goes in the grease gun. There's a plastic tube like this. And then there's also an aerosol spray that comes out as a liquid and then gels up when it hits the air. So I've used all three of these formats of this product. I've been using this for years. I was a motorcycle technician for 25 plus years. I also buy inexpensive bikes, fix them up for people, so I have a little bit of bike experience and I have a lot of motorcycle experience, and you know, it translates over pretty well. I'm a very skilled technician, so anyway, that's what I use. Your lube is not set in stone. You can use a white lithium grease, you can use anti-seize. I've just used this stuff for years and I've never had any issues with it. I've taken bikes apart that I've assembled with this stuff years and years later and not seen any damage, not seen any corrosion. But basically the lube is just to keep water, to protect all the components from water, moisture, rust, corrosion. There's going to be times when you're at the store, you're going to get caught in the rain, and you're not going to keep this dry. So washing, if you wash your bike, I recommend using a light spray from a hose. Remove your battery and then make sure everything is dried out well. Put it out in the sun, let everything dry out well after you wash this. But the lube is just basically to protect from rust, corrosion, protect the components, make them long lasting. The bearings seem to be sealed, so that, but whether they're 100% waterproof or not, that's to be something that you'll find out over the years. But basically I want to protect the outside surfaces from corrosion. I want to protect from water intrusion, so that's what the lube was for. On my video, I just placed lube on the bottom bearing in the video. I did go back and I did lube all the upper parts, put a light coating on those, but in the video you saw me lube the lower bearing, and that was just so I didn't have to lift the frame back off the steer tube, off the forks. But I did go back in and I did protect the upper parts with the lube. So what's been reported to me in a DM is that there's a black split ring underneath the lower bearing. Now, I never removed that bearing, so I can't confirm this. I will probably go back in and verify this so I can answer questions better. Just double check that it's placed in the right position and the right orientation. But the component should be, from what was reported, there's a black split ring underneath. There should be a taper, should be tapered up to go into the bearing, but I can't confirm this yet. There's a lower bearing with a taper on it. The taper should be up to fit into the machining of the neck on the frame. The next component should be the upper bearing, and it should be tapered on the taper should be down to go into the machining of the neck tube. There should be a silver split ring with a taper that goes down into the inner race of the bearing. There should be a thin silver washer which only covers the split ring and the inside of the race. If you put that on there, you'll notice it only covers the split ring and the inner race of the bearing. There's a dust cap with a rubber seal. There are the spacers for the stem. Now, those spacers can be split up. One can be underneath, one can be on top if you want to drop your stem a little bit. If you want to raise your stem to the full height, put both underneath. And then there's a compression cap and the Allen bolt. So it was also reported to me that some people have 2 silver washers. Now, the only thing that I can think of on the 2 silver washers is when they built this bike, there's probably some variance in the machining of the top of the cap and where the bearing sits into the machining. And so the builder had probably noticed that the cap, the dust cap, was too tight against the frame. And so that second washer is to raise that dust cap to keep it from interfering with the frame here. So anyway, there should be a lower split ring, black ring, which is reported. I can't confirm at this point. Then there should be a lower bearing, taper up into the machining. Then you place the frame over, place the upper bearing, taper down, the silver split ring, taper down, the silver washer or washers, the dust cap, the spacers, the stem, and then the compression cap and bolt. Now, when I assemble this, some people ask me if I press that silver split ring down into the bearing. Yes, but as soon as you wiggle the bike when you're putting all the other parts on, it pops right back out of place. And so the way I handle this is I straddle the bike, straddle the front wheel, and I clamp the front tire between my feet and my knees, my legs. And what I'll do is I'll assemble all the parts, lube everything, and then what I'll do is I'll take my Allen wrench, I'll just use my hex wrench here, and I lightly snug this as I'm kind of wiggling I'll use my free hand, I'll lift up on the frame just ever so slightly to take the weight off of it, not raise it off the lower bearing, but then I will take this and I will snug this as I'm wiggling it and holding that front wheel and the front forks in there until the clunking is gone. And you may have to back it off a little bit, but what that does is it gently pulls everything. Don't force it, just gently pull everything in place. And then after that point, then you come in with your torque wrench and your hex socket. and torque this to specs. Your spec is in your manual. Offhand I forgot what it was. I think it's 4 Newton meters, 4 to 6 Newton meters. But don't check your manual. Set your torque wrench accordingly. Torque that. Then snug your clamp, your pinch bolts. Get everything aligned. Snug your pinch bolts, and then torque your pinch bolts on your stem. And then also check your bar clamp, your handlebar clamp torque. And you'll want to crisscross these and make sure they're even. Don't torque down on one with a lot of torque until you get them all even, and then even them up and check them, double check them with the torque wrench. So I hope that helps everyone a little bit. I didn't show that clearly in the video. If you guys want me to take this all back apart and do a comprehensive video of the installation, let me know, but I think that should cover it and help everyone out. I will, like I said, probably take this back apart and just double check if that black split ring is underneath that bearing and it's placed correctly, oriented correctly. So thank you everyone, hope that helps. All right everyone, I just want to add, after your assembly, make sure that this is moving nice and smoothly. You can hold the bike with one hand, raise the front wheel off the ground, eliminate the tire resistance. Just make sure everything's nice and smooth from swing to swing. If you've got no clunking and everything's nice and loose and free there, you should be okay. But also I would recommend taking this if you're not confident in your assembly, and you should do this for your warranty anyway. Take it to your local bike expert for hands-on. Make sure your assembly is correct here. So thank you all.